Let's just start talking about Jesus real quick, man. And
Yeah.
we were talking pre-show about how you're interested in the Old Testament. You love the Old Testament.
Yeah.
You're studying the early prophets because it connects with John's revelation in such a big way. So what are some of the things that God is downloading on your heart in this season through the Word?
Man, if I had to sum it all up, it would probably be just the fear of the Lord. I think again, it's like a whole can of worms opening up that thing. But I really believe that the Lord is just really eager to restore the fear of the Lord in his people. And I think when you have the fear of the Lord, it brings about holiness. There's a reverence there. And his people begin to value again what holiness is. And the beautiful thing about Jesus is that, our inheritance through his blood is holiness. And whenever we are, pursuing purity, that's us basically coming under that covering and saying, Lord, I'm choosing to co-labor and partner into your holiness and choosing to be covered by the blood. And it's just accepting that inheritance. And so holiness, man, he just keeps on speaking that to me. And obviously that's all of who Jesus is. He's holy. I'm a worship pastor. I love any song that will just sing holy, holy, holy over and over. Because as we were saying, on pre-show, is just like, that's the songs of the throne room, man. Yeah. Those are the songs we're going to be singing forever. We won't have to sing songs of, Lord, pull me out of the muck today, do all this. It's like, no, Lord, we're seeing you face to face now. Holy, worthy is your name, So, just a lot of downloads, a lot of stuff he's been pouring out on me. The best thing he's just been giving me, though, is himself. And even if I'm reading, some of these minor prophets, and I'm like, what the heck is being said right here? Like, I was reading Habakkuk earlier today, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, but I heard the Lord say, he was like, just keep reading it, keep reading. And so did I get any huge revelation? Like maybe a few parts, but not like big time. But at the end of the day, I just know, even though I may not understand it, it's nourishing me. And so I'm just going to trust the process with it and just trust that his presence and the Spirit is just going to bring upon revelation as we read his word. And Okay.
Well, while you have it open, I see that you circle, you highlight in different colors, you arrow, you star. What is your process like when it comes to that? Because I do feel like a lot of people that listen to this show are new to the faith and maybe new to reading the word. So what is some encouragement that you do, that you maybe just giving some insight about your studying process and just breaking it down for us?
Yeah. So the way that I study is it's really basic. I've never liked devotionals. I've never been like a huge devotional person. Right. I don't know why. I just don't really care for them. And I had a person a long time ago. He said like what he does is he reads a chapter of any book. He reads that chapter and reads it every day for a week, and then he moves on. And so I've just continued since I was a freshman in high school. I've been applying that continually all the way. I'm 30 now, and I'll stay on the same book, the same passage, the same one verse for like at least a week typically, if not longer than that. And then I find myself all the time circling back to it like a month or two later. So like even reading like Ezekiel, I was talking to David earlier today about Ezekiel 44. And I'm like, man, the Lord keeps bringing me back to this. He revealed it to me 2 years ago. And I come back to it like every 3 months. And he won't let me leave it for whatever reason.
What's it about?
Ezekiel 44 talks about the restoration of the priesthood. And, how Israel has just been basically been prostituting the presence of the Lord, not considering him holy, not having the fear of the Lord. That's what it is. So the restoration of the priesthood, he says, there are some priests who've been ministering to me who have not kept the holy things holy. So they can be gatekeepers, but they can't minister before me. And I'm like, how heartbreaking is that to you are called to be before him face to face. And then you're told, hey, you can be at the gate, but you can't be in my presence anymore. And so, the Lord, he ends up telling Ezekiel, and Ezekiel's given this word and saying the descendants of Zadok will be the ones who will restore the priesthood. They are to teach between what's holy and not holy, what's common and what's not common, all these things. There's parts of it where he even says, I love that, because there's a part whenever it's in there, and he says, they are to wear white linen, but tell them do not sweat. I remember reading that like a year ago. I'm like, Lord, why would you tell them not to sweat? I lead worship every Sunday, and I'm sweating profusely. I'm like, what does that mean? And I just had revelation poured out as I just continually just went into it for over a week, a month or so, just reading it. He said, I told them not to sweat because I don't want them to strive. And they don't have to strive in my presence, So anyways, but yeah, there's that big, the Lord's just been speaking that message to me, the restoration of the priesthood. So I shared that with David today, and we're talking about that on some things. But the way I approach my Bible now is a lot of what you're seeing, like as you're looking at it just now, I have my notes, my highlighting. There's no really big method to it. There's things that are for me in there, but I'm more looking at my Bible as a journal for my kids. So I have like on the front page of my Bible, a dedication, like a full page saying like, this is what I want you to get out of this. At the end of Malachi, I have, a letter to my kids one day dated and saying, I love you, just things like that. It's funny that you mentioned that your son is Malachi.
Yeah.
And just before I came up
And
here,
Ezekiel.
no kidding, bro. Yeah. Come on. So what's crazy is that I heard the Lord say today, as I came back to this passage after reading Habakkuk, I heard him say that one of your kids are going to have a son named Malachi. So I'm like, I'm just going to write it down at the end of this book. So I had a vision that one of you is going to name your son Malachi, and he shall fear the Lord. And I dated it. And then I prayed for him on the way up here. And then you're telling me your son's Malachi. I'm like, oh, Lord, you're just confirming this.
Hey, let's go.
So one day I'll give this to my kids, and they'll be able to see every prophetic promise that I've prayed over them and just the goodness of his word. So yeah, it's
let's go. I'm hype about that right now. I love that because it just inspired me to like, why didn't I ever think that my kids would want to read like the revelations I was having through the Lord in here? Yeah. So like that just motivated me, encouraged me to like start doing that same practice. So I'm glad I asked that question. And I actually have an email set up for my oldest son. His name's Noah. I got the idea, make somebody like when I was like, I don't know, when he was like 2 or 3 years old, put the idea out on Facebook, like create an email for your kid. Yeah. Send them emails, give them the email
that's cool.
When they hit 18 or whatever age you want or whatever, set it up for them now and stuff like that. So, throughout, we'll have a great summer together. I'll kind of fill him in on what we did together. I'll, share something that's going on as far as like emotionally or with the family that's like, just really kind of filling him in the gaps of like his childhood and his life, because him and his mom and I were split up after we had him about a year around that time. So like we've done a lot of the co-parenting thing. So there's a lot of his life that I've missed out on because of that. Yeah. So creating that email has been such a blessing because it's really allowed me to like kind of communicate with his older self at this age. And just kind of filling him in on things that are from the heart, and just the way we would feel when we would separate and we would, he'd have to go back to school and we'd hug and we'd cry and all that stuff, and just being able to be raw and real with him to when he's ready for that, to see one day like, yo, dad was like talking to me, like, I don't know. I just think it's powerful. But like knowing that you do that, because we have more than one kids, and me and my wife have a couple kids, Malachi and Ezekiel. And that kind of just inspired me to be like, all right, I don't have an email set up for them because like they're here, they seem, but like that would be something special, So
I'm really glad you shared that. This is the journal that they'll get one day from me, And so it's just something cool. It's something special that I get to give them, and I'll even write notes to to my wife in here that they'll be able to see. This is how I loved your mom, you know. My gosh. So I'm trying to just fill this up, and then eventually I'll get another Bible and do the same thing and just hand them out. I don't know. I plan to read as much of it as I can, so we'll see. Yeah,
I'm blessed by that, bro. Thank you for sharing that. That's big.
Absolutely, man.
For everybody listening and watching, make sure you subscribe to the show. Please share this episode specifically with a friend that you think could benefit it, whether it be the infertility story, the loss of a loved one, a worship leader, how church should be. I feel like we covered so many great topics today that somebody else can really benefit from. So please share it if you don't mind. Subscribe to the YouTube, and if you want to help us out and partner with us, you can do so on Patreon. We launched it in May 1st. Super exciting. I know. It's so great, man. We already have 10 on there. So shout out to all 10 of you that are actually partnering with us. It is every single time one of them came in, bro, like the emails, I would just smile with joy. Like, Lord, look what you're doing. People believe in what we're doing. Like, you're faithful, Lord. So thank you to all 10 of you. Some shout outs will be coming around the way at the end of the month for that as well. And then also, if you want to support the ministry in any way, just give a little one-time giving. You can go to ilikebirdsministry.com, ilikebirdsministry.com/support, or you can go get a copy of 21 Days in Africa on that website as well. You can sign it and send it your way. It'll help bless the ministry and also read a little bit more about my story and a mission trip to Africa. So definitely appreciate y'all being here, and we'll see you next time for another great episode about Jesus. All right, cheers.